Hi everyone, welcome down the rabbit hole, my friends. I'm Katie, and it's been a while since I've shared about what's going on with the Duggar family. But this is the first of 3 planned videos I have in store for the new year about the Duggars. This specific video is about an article I was shocked to find that was written by an inmate currently at Josh Duggar's prison, Segoville. If you aren't aware, Josh Duggar is currently serving a prison term in Segoville Federal Prison for possession of CP. And here's a little bit about that prison from my last video about Josh.
Your first day in federal prison, getting to your bunk area, meeting your cellmate, how that looks. First impressions do matter.
Former reality TV star and convicted felon Josh Duggar is now in federal prison in Texas.
Did you see the Duggar? We're amongst another pro Tomo. I am going to get his autograph. I am.
Josh Duggar has officially been moved to FCI Segoville in Segoville, Texas. FCI Segoville hosts an S-offender residential treatment program. This program will offer help to Josh, but the reality is the program can't be successful if he doesn't accept responsibility for his actions. So it's up to Josh whether or not he makes the most out of the next 12 years he's going to be spending in Segoville. So, it turns out that in the middle of December, an inmate named Anthony Accurso wrote an article for the Marshall Project, which allows inmates to publish their written works from prison. Anthony describes himself as a writer and a paralegal who is currently incarcerated in Segoville, serving a 15-year term for downloading CP.
How it started.
I'm Josh Duggar from TLC's 19 Kids and Counting. I'm also the Executive Director of Family Research Council Action here in Washington, D.C., where we are advancing faith, family, and freedom.
Versus how it's going.
So Anthony states that he likes to write because he believes that incarcerating people like him will only make the crimes worse. So he writes out from Segoville about his life and what goes on behind the prison wall. Here's some info on what he wrote about Josh Duggar and what's been going on in Segoville. Anthony writes, "When I first heard that Josh Duggar was coming to FCI Segoville, I didn't know who he was. But there are other people here at this federal prison near Dallas who watch a lot of TV, so they all knew. Duggar is the oldest son from the reality show 19 Kids and Counting, and he got arrested last year for having CP. We occasionally get people that are high profile at this facility, and Duggar's case seems exactly like with other celebrities. Some people think they know you because you've been on TV, and everybody wants to talk to you. Like Christopher Epps, the former head of the Mississippi Department of Corrections. He's in my unit. We call him Colonel. He's a nice old dude. Thomas Rodella, who was a sheriff in New Mexico, was at this prison too. We called him the sheriff. They ended up here because the Bureau of Prisons sometimes sends media-sensitive people to facilities like this one, which is known as an SOMP yard. That stands for S-Offender Management Program. They send them here whether or not they're S-offenders. Only about 60% of the people here are in the program. For instance, the colonel and the sheriff aren't S-offenders. They landed here because these places tend to be safer than regular prisons because there are fewer gang members. Of course, some of the famous people at the SOMP yards are high-profile S-offenders. Jared Fogle, the guy who used to be in the Subway ads, is at FCI Inglewood, which is an SOMP facility in Colorado. And we're kind of expecting R. Kelly to come here. But here's the thing with celebrities. They generate all this outside attention. About a week or two before Josh Duggar showed up here, we started seeing this media coverage about how he was going to get help in the S-offender treatment program. But he probably won't get treatment till the end of his sentence of 12 years and 7 months. because the BOP isn't really interested in treating people. They just make it appear like they are mitigating the risk that some of us may pose. But aside from the bad, or rather inaccurate coverage about the treatment he was supposedly going to get, there were the sensationalist gossip rag articles about how he was scared of getting attacked. Offender prisons are just not like that, and the BOP makes sure high-profile people are safe because it'll be a black eye on the bureau if they get hurt. This is something I've talked about a lot in my prior videos. I basically talked about how Josh Duggar was getting sent away to sort of like a camp-like environment where the real person who will be the most punished by a lot of this is probably Anna Duggar, who has to stay home and take care of all of the children and live alone in an environment where she might be facing a lot of shame and just a difficult lifestyle all around, whereas Josh gets to be free of many of the responsibilities he probably had as a father and the breadwinner to his family. Anthony goes on to write, "Why are offender prisons safer? Because we don't tend to assault people for no reason." Yeah, I want to say they assault a certain kind of people and they're not in the prison. Sure, we're painted as individuals who are violent and can't control ourselves, and don't get me wrong, there are some here who can't, but a lot of people here are here on P-related charges and don't have any history of violence. In regular facilities, offenders usually aren't involved in prison gangs because most won't allow gangs in. Here, it's a little different because people in gangs are the minority, so they will accept some offenders to keep their numbers. It's on a case-by-case basis. It depends on how bad the crime was. And the BOP weeds out some of the really tough guys and gang members anyway. When new people who aren't offenders get off the bus here, staff doing intake tell them something like, "This is an SOMP facility, so there are a lot of offenders here. If you're not okay with that, we'll put you on a bus and ship you out." They give them a choice because a lot of the gangs have rules that require members to harass offenders if they live near them. For instance, take the Chow Hall here at Segoville. This part of the facility holds around a little over 1,600 people, but the Chow Hall only seats around 250 at a time, and the staff wants to get us all fed as quickly as possible. Up until a few weeks ago, some of the gangs that don't like offenders had tables staked out. The gangs might let an offender sit at their table, but once the guy is back on the unit, they would roll up on him. But it stopped when the staff started making everyone sit down in the order that they walked in. Even so, this isn't the kind of violent and scary prison the media might make it out to be when they found out that Duggar was coming here. The first person I know who actually saw him was a friend of mine, a nice man who works in the law library. One day, my friend came back from work and was like, "Oh, Josh Duggar came in today and I got to meet him." He said he was just a regular, nice guy, but everybody was trying to talk to him, so my friend waited his turn. It's different running into a celebrity who's not trying to build their brand, because they're not trying to build their brand in prison. I've only seen Duggar once myself. We were on COVID lockdown for months after he got here, and he and I are in different units. When I saw him, it was just from several feet away, and he was doing a workout video, so I still haven't gotten to talk to him. I don't know if he's still scared like when he came in, but I wouldn't ask him. I wouldn't go up to somebody who's frightened and say, "Hey, you don't got any reason to be afraid," because he would think I'm just trying to get him to lower his guard. If I run into Duggar again, maybe I'll ask him how he's doing. In the meantime, we all go on our way trying to deal with the complications of being warehouse property. We're just supposed to sit on the shelf of the warehouse and not burn it down until it's time to be shipped somewhere else. Okay, for my regular subscribers, you're most likely aware that it's long been rumored that many people have treated Josh like royalty in Segoville. I think a lot of people there tend to think that he has money and that by getting close with him, they may be able to manipulate him, that they may be able to trick him into getting some of whatever currency he has available to him at this point in time, be it snacks or money or some kind of commissary funds. In general, people would love to get to know Josh Duggar so they could write a tell-all or get some of that sweet, sweet TLC money that they think Josh may have waiting at home for him. In general, the few reports that I've seen, which cannot be substantiated like this one, from the prison basically say that Josh gets along with everyone, he's quiet, and overall people like him. At one point, he had a job, but lost the job a few weeks after starting, and it sounds like it was just because he couldn't get along with the people he was working with. It probably had something to do with them making fun of him or asking questions about his life on TLC. I've been thinking a lot about how we're starting a new year, 2023, and how Josh probably has to look at the calendar and think, okay, I'm 4 or 5 months down, but I have almost 12 years to go here at Segoville. I'm really concerned that Josh is going to come out a worse man than he went in. For those of you who have been following the Josh Duggar case for quite a while, I would like to know what you think about what's potentially going on behind the prison walls for Josh Duggar.
On charges of receiving and possessing. But for most of that time, Josh was held in a county jail near Fayetteville, Arkansas, as he awaited placement in a more permanent facility. That means that this will be the 34-year-old's first Christmas in federal prison. And while the thought of Josh spending the holiday season in jail, where he belongs, is an undeniably comforting one, it's hard not to be upset by the news that his Christmas will be a surprisingly comfortable one. According to a new report from Radar Online, Josh will enjoy a surprisingly sumptuous feast in the prison cafeteria. The site obtained sample menus from previous holiday seasons and found that residents of Segoville Federal Correctional Institution typically receive a meal featuring both chicken and ham. Last year's dinner reportedly featured mashed potatoes with chicken gravy, cranberry sauce, broccoli cheese and rice casserole, buttered corn on the cob, and 2 dinner rolls. The prison cafeteria probably won't be winning a Michelin star anytime soon, but it's still better than what Josh deserves. And not only will the prisoners get to enjoy a special meal, it seems a full evening of activities has been planned. According to Radar, Segoville will have a recreational music band playing holiday music, as well as board games available for the inmates. Considering the Duggars don't allow any form of secular music, Josh might wind up having more fun than his family on Christmas. We're not sure if Jim Bob allows board games, but he's generally opposed to all kinds of fun, so probably not. Amazingly, it seems that Josh and the other inmates will also be getting a visit from Santa. Or, more accurately, they'll be lining up in front of a representative from the Federal Bureau of Prisons, who will be providing the inmate population with holiday bags filled with various consumable items. Again, it's probably not the most cheerful occasion, but as always, Josh will be having an easier time than his long-suffering wife, who will be forced to put on a happy face and try to make the holidays as festive as possible for the couple's 7 kids. Insiders say Anna is dreading the holidays, and it's not hard to see why. She's reportedly just scraping by with help from her in-laws, and Christmas is sure to be a strain on Anna's finances and emotional state, both of which have already been stretched thin. The holidays have been difficult, says a source close to the situation. Josh has done terrible things. She's still dealing with that betrayal, but she misses him. Josh is all she knows. They met in 2006.
Thank you all so much for joining me. I'm still in my little cabin in Nova Scotia, and I will be flying back to Malaysia in a couple of days. Say a prayer for me because it's going to be a long journey for my kids. I hope all of you had a wonderful holiday and are having a great new year. I hope to see you again soon down another rabbit hole.